Hello and welcome. My name is Ulrika Karlsson. I'm born and raised in Sweden, and I am honored to be one of the speakers here at the RV Book Fair to introduce the other amazing authors. So thank you so much, Lucia and Relatable Voice, for the honor of doing so. And thank you for being here and listening and taking part of these amazing authors. So I'm also here as an author, and one book that is called Holy Fuck and Sacred Water, The Secret Connections to Everything, is sold in 17 countries, and she is here to reactivate your inner and dormant light codes for you to remember who you are. And then another book that I'm going to share here in the book fair is The Sacred Soul, A Divine Evolution Through Time and Space. This book is here to make you remember and inspire you who you are on a soul level, and to ignite your soul's codes so that you will be the best version of yourself in alignment with your soul's blueprint. And my first book is 2:47 a.m., The Journey Home to My Heart, which is about my journey when I was depressed and suicidal and back into life, living a heart-centered life, and to guide others to do the same. So writing for me is a lot about being vulnerable and like an authentic expression. I've always written since I was a child, and words for me can be very soothing, very challenging, very therapeutic. So my first book, my autobiography, was actually like a therapeutic journey for me and to my journey back home to my heart. And we know that words are spells. So we can cast spells. So we have to be conscious and mindful of the words that we use. And words can be challenging and igniting a spark of curiosity, igniting a spark of a higher state of consciousness. So this book fair, RV Book Fair 2023, is like a smorgasbord of authors from all over the countries, all over the world, with different kind of inspirations and dishes, flavors and tastes they want to give to you. So I write a lot about personal developments and high vibrational book that's going to reactivate your higher vibrational states of being and high states of consciousness. And other authors here at the RV Book Fair, they have other gifts, other flavors. So for me, again, writing is also a gift in sharing and taking part of another person's experience, thoughts, etc., etc. And for me, that is a gift of love that you can share with somebody that you love, perhaps yourself or somebody else. And what I also like about books, like they are solid, they are tangible. You can hold them, you can smell them, and each and every book has its own story and its own flavor. And this diversity is a gift to you from us. So again, welcome to take part of RV Book Fair 2023, and I'm so much looking forward to connect with you. Take care for now and enjoy. Bye.
Welcome to Uncut with Lucia. I'm Lucia Matuonto, and we are thrilled to have you back for the RV Book Fair 2023. Please welcome my co-host, Pat Backley. Pat is an author of 7 books and is one of the authors featured in the anthology Relatable Voice. So Pat, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lucia. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be your co-host and to meet all these fabulous authors. Today we have the privilege of sitting down with 2 remarkable authors to dive into the realms of spirituality and manifestation. First up, we have Lucio Gil, forgive me if I haven't pronounced that correctly, author of the highly anticipated book, Manifestation. Welcome, Lucio.
How are you, Pat? How are you, Lucia? I'm so happy to be back to the RV Book Fair. And hi to Vivian. I'm happy to meet you here and on this panel, and also to be talking to the RV audience too. So I'm very grateful to be back to the RV Book Fair. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, it's our pleasure to have you back. And I'm sure this panel will be just amazing because you are also special for me. And I'm sure Pat is also very excited about this panel. Yes, Pat.
Thank you so much.
So next we have Vivien Schapera, the author of The Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery. Welcome, Vivien.
Oh, thank you, Lucia. I'm so very glad to be back. I felt so honored that you invited me to come back this year. I so much enjoyed last year. I'm expecting to enjoy this year. And of course, I'm thrilled to meet the rest of you. And just to be here and to talk about books and to talk about the topics and have fun, because everything you do, Lucia, it's so wonderful and just brings such inspiration and joy into my life. And that's very, very important that we have that kind of positive energy and that we share the positive energy, because not all of life is easy, as we all know. And so when we can enjoy ourselves, this is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. And likewise, Vivien, it's the same feeling. It's the same.
Okay, well, let's kick off this discussion by exploring how each of you ventured into your respective fields. Lucio, would you mind sharing your journey into meditation and spirituality?
Well, Beth, this is a long story. I normally say that we are all in this earth, in this life, for just one goal, which is to meet love. No matter how long it takes, no matter the pace, the paths taken, the timing, each of us will take a different way, will have a different timing, but all of us, at the end, we will meet love. And to meet love, we have to develop our connection with spirituality. And there are three main ways to develop this spirituality. The first one is through knowledge, which is when we start seeking about, studying about topics, researching about topics regarding spirituality, connection. The second one, which is the most noble one, is love. I'm talking about the unconditional love. And this one we normally reach through charity, philanthropy, those ways. And the third one, which is not the best one, is through pain. And that's the way that normally the most lazy people, just like me, they take. And that was the way I took to develop my spirituality. And so, through developing my spirituality, because of the challenge I had in life, and normally people, when they have a hard time moment in life, they remember to talk to God, to talk to the universe, to pray for the angels, to pray for their spiritual mentors, or whatever makes sense for them as a spiritual connection. And that's what I did. And I did through dynamic meditation. And the good story is that all the knowledge I gathered, all the experiences I had during my life became a book that I had the opportunity, I'm very lucky to say, I had the opportunity to write this book together with my friend Lucia, and we are just about to launch it. The name of the book is Manifestation. And that's the good news we have today, right, Lucia?
Yes, I hope this book comes soon. Comes up soon. And it's a very special book because, for me at least, because it's the first nonfiction book that I'm writing. For me, writing nonfiction is way more difficult than to write fiction, because
Yeah,
it's all
certainly.
created here. Yeah. Thank you, Lucio. And now, Vivien, what sparked your interest in crystal healing?
Oh my, what sparked my interest in crystal healing? So it just happened to me. I was 10 years old. My father was born in Southwest Africa, which is now called Namibia. And when I was 10 years old, we went on a trip to Southwest Africa. It was still Southwest Africa then. That would be 1966, was when I was 10 years old. You can figure out my age from that easily enough. And we went to visit the former next door neighbor. His name was Carl Wurt. And we went to his house, and in the front of his house was a green lawn, which was obviously from watering, because the town, this very small town in Southwest Africa where my father grew up, is called Keetmanshoop. And in Keetmanshoop, it's in the desert. But the houses had lawns and gardens in the front. But then we walked through his house, and his house was very interesting. There was a long hallway, a long passage from the front door to the back door. And we went through the kitchen and we went out the back door. The back door was a desert. The front had a lawn and hibiscus and flowers. Backyard, desert. But in that desert was this whole big rock garden, and the rock garden was made of rose quartz stones, and they were just glowing. I mean, these just pink glowing rocks, big ones. And Carl said, oh, those were in the way. He worked in a mine, and the rose quartz was in the way of what they were trying to get to in the mine. And he said, it was in the way, but I thought it was very nice, so I brought it home. And so he transported these giant rocks of rose quartz to his house and had built the whole rock garden, this rockery with all the plants, the cacti, the succulents, and the rose quartz rocks in the backyard. And I took one look at this. I was 10 years old, which is very much the age of rose quartz for a girl of 10. That's the exact right stone. And I just took one look at that, and I was absolutely mesmerized. And I looked at my dad and I said, one day I will collect stones. I will collect minerals. And my dad looked at me and he said, that's an expensive hobby. And he was right. And of course I do. I collect many, many stones now. And I teach people how to use them for healing. And I even have to admit that I speak to stones, and they speak, but not because I began it. They started by speaking to me, which is kind of very weird stories. And I wrote them all in my book, Everyday Magic. So, Lucia, you said my book, The Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery, that's a textbook. It's a reference book. But also I've written a book about all these stories called Everyday Magic. So that's how it all began at the age of 10, looking at a rose quartz rock garden in Keetmanshoop in Southwest Africa, now Namibia. Rather interesting. It was a long time before I actually started collecting minerals, but that was the beginning of it all. Absolutely, for sure.
What a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that, Vivien. In my head, I could just picture you as a little girl and your mouth probably opening wide when you saw this wonderful, wonderful sight. I mean, I think it's wonderful and I haven't seen it. So thank you for sharing that story. That's really very special. And I can quite see why it would spark your enthusiasm. I think when we're young, our minds are so open to everything, aren't they? And for something like that, which was obviously going to be your lifelong passion, that's a wonderful introduction to it. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Sometimes we just have these moments of truth in our lives where we just know that that's for me, that's mine, or that's what I'm going to do. And that was one of those moments. I think it could have been the first moment of me experiencing intuition. which is another topic that I now teach, and is how to recognize these intuitive moments and so on. And that was certainly a moment packed with the future, is how I'll put it, with my future. It was a moment of my spirit meeting my destiny here on earth. And it was very powerful. You know, I didn't realize this, but my mind records my memories as movies. So what I remember is recorded in detail in my mind, where I can actually literally replay the movie. And that's how I wrote my book, Everyday Magic, was by replaying all these different scenes that are in my memory. And I didn't realize that not everybody remembers like that. But I have met a few other people who do remember in that way. Because after I finished Everyday Magic, people would read it and they said, "How did you remember all this, Vivien? Did you keep journals? Did you keep a diary?" And I said, no, it's here. It's like movies in my head. And only because people started asking me those questions was I able to realize that my memory is recording these things in a different way. Not everybody has this happening. And so, Pat, you're absolutely right. I remember the scene. I can put myself back there. I remember everything in broad detail, as I can literally go back to that moment. I can go from the front yard with the lawn and the hibiscus and everything and walk through the house. And as I'm talking now, I'm picturing it all in my mind. And I can see the kitchen. I can see the strip of sticky fly paper with all the flies on it in the kitchen. And there were actually multiple strips like that. I can see the bars on the window. I can see what the curtains look like, the gingham curtains, and I can see out into the backyard, and I can still see that rose quartz rock garden in my mind. So you're quite right, Pat. You've tuned in exactly correctly. That's great feeling.
And that has kind of sent shivers up my spine listening to you, because that's exactly how my memory is. Exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
When I wrote my memories, I started thinking of something, and like you say, I just had the whole movie in front of my eyes. I could everything when I was young, down to the last scrap of sweet wrapping and things like that. So I've never heard anyone describe it like that before. So thank you. That's fascinating.
You know what, Pat and Vivien? Welcome to my world. When I write my novels, I see everything I'm writing. I see in details everything I'm writing, and I live that moment that I'm writing. It's fiction, but I'm living it, and I see it with details. So when I describe, for example, one of my characters, a lady coming down the stairs, I describe her hair, the earrings she's wearing, her dress, with details, because I'm seeing her coming down the stairs. This is amazing. I say that every time I'm writing a book, a novel especially, I'm the first one to travel on this journey because I'm living it. It's amazing to hear that you both have the same experience.
It's just incredible. I'm smiling. I can't stop smiling just to know that other people are the same as me. And like you, Lucio, when I write my historical fiction books, in my head, I go back in time and I see all those things happening. This is great. I mean, I hadn't expected this from this discussion today. So thank you both for that.
Well, we are talking about spirituality and manifestation. So now we see, I mean, we truly manifest these things. We get these visualizations, we get all these visual details. And that's why we can talk about spirituality and manifestation, because of this. This is very apt. It's very exciting. I feel so good in my heart.
You know, Vivien, I have a very small land, but I have some cows on it, a cattle. And one of my cows was pregnant, and Lucia told me, the calf, I want a girl. And Lucia gave the name of the calf. And so we start talking about this calf like before it was born. like if it would be a female. And Lucia saying she would buy some things for the cat, and at the end, the cat was born and was a female, and was the name is the name that Lucia chose. So we say that Lucia manifested the cat.
Manifested.
Oh, this is all very fascinating stuff. But I guess we should move on a little. The common theme today is spirituality and manifestation. Lucio, can you please give us a sneak peek into what readers can expect from your book?
So I believe, Pat, that the challenges I went through in my life are very similar to challenges that people normally went through every day. And so I'm positive that the readers are gonna identify themselves with some of the situations I'm describing in the book, and will see themselves on the same situation, you know. So the good thing is that the book is not just describing these challenges, but also offering techniques to overcome it. And the techniques I wrote in the book are techniques that I developed during the period I was working with this, working with dynamic meditation, working on the development of my connection with spirituality. So there are some techniques there that can help people overcome challenges in their lives. So what the readers can expect from this book is an easy to understand writing, where they will certainly identify themselves with some of these situations and find ways to overcome it.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm co-authoring this book with Lucio because I truly believe in the power of manifestation. I myself experienced the magic of bringing my desires into reality through focused intention and, of course, action. Because it's very important. Some people say, I'm going to be manifesting things. No, it's important to note that I didn't simply sit at home waiting for things to happen, without any effort on my part. I was manifesting, and at the same time, I was doing things. I think manifestation involves, both belief and, let's say, proactive steps toward our goals. So, and I'm super happy because Lucio had the idea of writing this book and invited me to write it.
And you are 100% right, Lucia. It's like you find what is going wrong with you, then you look for tools. Okay, these are my tools, but this is not enough. You need action, and that's what Lucia is bringing to us in this book about. Okay, so leave the chair and go out, go for it, take an action. It's really amazing reading. I'm totally positive that a lot of people will be able to change their lives through reading this book.
Thank you, Lucio. And Vivien, your book, I was focusing in the complete guide to crystal surgery, but you can also talk about everyday magic, okay?
Yes.
And both books focuses on healing.
Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ask, this crystal said it's going to be part of whatever we talk about today. So I brought it over, and actually it's very interesting because this crystal broke in transit. There's a break over here, and Neil glued it back together again and made it whole. And so I'm going to just ask it what it wants me to say, because that's such a broad question and encompasses the entire book, The Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery, as well as all the crystal healing that I know about, that I'm going to ask the crystal rather, what should I say about how crystals contribute to healing. And so the crystal is telling me straight away, crystals have got this very, very regular lattice work. That's what makes it a crystal, is the way that the crystal is organized. And it is because of that organizational influence that crystals have that they help us, just as you've been talking about manifestation, and there's a certain kind of organizational system that allows manifestation to happen. And as long as you follow that systematically, you are going to manifest whatever you want. And the crystal is joining in and saying that's exactly the same with healing, is you just have to organize yourself correctly if you want healing to happen. And because crystals have this geometric regular organization, that's what makes it a crystal, they're very good at transmitting the dynamic of be organized, be systematic. And that's one of the most important aspects to manifestation, to getting anything done in our lives, including healing. Be organized. And so what a crystal does is it helps organize the energies correctly. That's at the fundamental base level. And I wouldn't have given that answer, but that's the answer that the crystal gave. If I were giving the answer, I would say crystals have chemical properties, they have physical properties like their wavelength of their color, and then they have these electrical properties. They have piezoelectricity and pyroelectricity, and it's all of those properties that contribute to the healing. So I would have gone more analytical in it, but the crystal says the overarching principle is its organization. And that's what makes a crystal is the way that it's organized. And the way that you want to heal is because you have to become organized for healing. If you want to manifest, you need to become organized for manifestation. So there's the answer, straight from the crystal's mouth.
Do you want to say something?
Just fascinating. I mean, I know very little about crystals, but I have always had a lifelong passion for rocks and stones, and how they are segmented, you know, if they get broken, all the different segments and slices. And I've actually just laid myself a new garden path because we had dreadful flooding in New Zealand earlier this year, and my whole garden path got washed away. And I've been thinking, what can I do? What can I do? I even Googled how to lay a concrete path, but you know, I'm not a huge woman, and I'm a bit old now, and to lug sacks of concrete up a hill, and it just kind of wasn't really the answer. And then I was in a garden centre and I got very excited. I saw schist pavers. In New Zealand, we have beautiful schist rock down in the South Island, and these are just slices off it. So you get the graduation of the slice. So they're uneven, misshapen, and so they're very heavy. So I bought those, and I've made myself a schist path. And that satisfies something deep within me, much more emotionally satisfying than a lump of concrete. So whilst I don't understand crystals, I obviously do have a slight natural bent to understanding what you're talking about. So now I have to learn about crystals, Vivien. So thank you.
Well, it sounds like you actually are already learning about crystals, because we're really talking about the mineral kingdom, and your stones that make your garden path are part of the mineral kingdom. And, you know, crystals have got that lattice work organization. The stones are not quite necessarily equally organized, but they're still the mineral kingdom. And we all have a natural affinity. We have an affinity with the animal kingdom, we have an affinity with the plant kingdom, and we have an affinity with the mineral kingdom. And you're describing interacting with the mineral kingdom. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. It doesn't have to be crystals. The mineral kingdom is the mineral kingdom, and you've just described a perfect and wonderful interaction with the mineral kingdom. And when you talk about how it made you feel deep inside, there's your answer. There's the truth. There's what counts. And it's just as wonderful as any crystal.
And I think we all get that same sensation when we walk on a pebble beach. you know, and the pebbles are underneath you and you look down and they're all totally different. There's not two identical ones. And yeah, it's a very magical thing. But I guess I'm quite spiritual anyway. So better move on. Sorry, this isn't about me and my fascination with rocks. Lucia. Yeah.
Why not?
Lucia,
I thought it was.
Lucia, you possess a unique combination of a background in law and meditation. How do these seemingly disparate paths converge?
Well, Pat, I'm gonna tell you, I will say one is crucial for the other. I used to say that meditation and law, they are twin flames. And the reason I say that is because the lawyer, he needs to meditate to deal with the daily issues he has to deal. So we all have a divine spark inside of us. The idea is to expand this divine spark and manifestate God inside of us. As I said before, we are all in this life to develop our spirituality. And through the meditation was the way I found to expand this divine spark, to work my focus, and to, better deal with all the hard issues that a lawyer has to deal with. So my suggestion is, my advice to all the lawyers is, meditate in the morning before you guys get out to the office. You see the difference.
And this
Wow.
is a tip for everyone, I think. Everyone should just go and meditate, or maybe to check their crystals, like Vivien was telling us, because we need some, let's say, some way to find peace, and maybe meditating, and it's one of them, as you said.
Yeah, and also concentration, focus, all these things. Meditation is a wonderful tool. As you said, not only for lawyers, but I would say for all the professionals in the world. But in my case, I say that it is crucial. I always meditate in the morning, normally in the bus when I'm going to the office, because my commute is a long commute, like 2 hours in the bus in the morning and in the afternoon. So I had plenty of time to meditate and to write books while I'm in the bus.
And actually, being a lawyer, I believe it's a very stressing sometimes profession. So
yeah, don't doubt it. Don't doubt it.
And thank you, Lucio. And Vivien, can you share how your background and personal experience has influenced your writings on healing?
Oh, wow. You ask such broad questions, Lucia. Now I have to funnel that into some kind of an answer. So how do my experiences, I would say, have all fed into things. I think I got to go back to my book, Everyday Magic, and talk about that. So when I was a little girl, I had an intuition that I would write a book about my life and my family. And at that time, we lived on a road called Mountain Road, and the working title for the book was Mad Mountain Road. Mad in South Africa means crazy. In the United States, mad means angry. So it was just how crazy. Everybody seemed to be crazy there in South Africa. And so I was going to call it Mad Mountain Road. And I just knew I was going to write a book about my life. And then when I was heading towards the age of 40, I thought, I better get started with this book. It feels like you're getting so old when you're reaching 40, but, we look back now and we go, I thought I was getting old then. Look at me now. But anyway, I decided I had to start the book before I turned 40. So I did. And that book turned into Everyday Magic. It didn't stay as Mad Mountain Road. It became Everyday Magic. And it was in writing that book, and then I looked back on the book. I wrote that book. It was 6 drafts in 7 years. It really was hard work to write that book. And I wrote it in different ways. And then finally, I got it into the format that it is in now. And the book was actually first published in 2002, and then we brought out the ebook in 2020, at the same time as we brought out the complete guide to crystal surgery. But what was interesting about Everyday Magic was that I was learning about myself and my life, getting this different perspective on it by writing the book. And so I would say that in the same way as writing is an essential part of manifestation, I do think that writing is a way of healing. I do think that writing is a way of seeing things that you're not going to see if you don't write them. And after I finished writing Everyday Magic, I looked back and saw that the spirits and spirit guides had inserted themselves into every single chapter. And while I was thinking that I was writing a book about my life and my experiences, I actually was writing a book about how the spirit world is integral to our physical world here on earth, and that they are participating and part of everything that's going on all the time. And that gave me this completely different perspective and understanding of what life is about. And so I became very much in touch with the etheric realm. And that is where the kind of healing work that I do is coming from the etheric realm. So what do I mean? We have our bodies, so we have the physical realm. Then we have our minds, which is the mental realm, and emotions are actually part of that. And then we have our spirits and our spirituality, and that is part of the etheric realm. And we integrate, and all of those 3 layers are part of our existence here on earth. And it is in that etheric realm that my healing work takes place. And so I would say that me writing Everyday Magic was probably more for me than for anybody else, I have to be honest. And it really opened my eyes as to how these pieces go together. And that opened my eyes as to how the healing work actually works. And what I'm saying is that we sort of talk about channeling, where people will channel another being that's in the spirit realm, and they'll speak for that being, that the being will use their voice or will speak through them and say stuff through them. But when we do healing work, we're actually going the other way. The spirits are inviting us to come into their realm to channel healing, and the channeling is going in the other direction. Instead of the etheric realm saying something physically in our realm, we are channeling our physical and mental part into the etheric realm, and that's how we achieve healing. And crystals are the ideal bridge, and that's where the crystals came in. They are the ideal bridge because they are both part of the physical realm and the etheric realm. So they make this incredible bridge. And in fact, that then must be why I was asked to put on this particular crystal. You see that white line there? That's called a Farden line. And this is the best bridge between the physical realm and the etheric realm, is a Farden crystal. And I use this crystal to help me with that bridge. And actually, this particular crystal bridges me to my son, Aiden, who is in the spirit realm. He died in 2013, and this crystal connects me to him. So we see he's part of this today as well. Isn't that wonderful? We're all connected all the time, and it's such a comfort and so excellent to remember that at all times. Even though we must still experience what we do experience here on earth, there are other lenses through which we can look at our realities and see different nuances as well as different facts. So thank you for asking me that. I hope it was an okay answer.
Yes, it was. And I was thinking that anyone can be able to learn and see the things you see.
Anyone who wants to can learn. It's part of our human nature. It's part of who we are. We all have spirits. Nobody's born without a spirit. It's about being interested, motivated, and being willing to do the work. You know, it's like the sun. People ask, do you have to believe in crystals? Or they ask me, do you believe in crystals? I said, what do you even mean, do you believe in crystals? That's like asking me if I believe in the sun. The sun just is. Whether you believe it or not, the sun exists and is doing what the sun does. And there wouldn't be life on Earth without the sun. We wouldn't be able to sustain ourselves without the sun. But do we have to believe in the sun for that to happen? No, it just is. It's the way it is. And so it is with our spirituality. We are spiritual beings, whether we want to acknowledge it or not.
Thank you, Vivien.
I agree, absolutely. Do you, Lucia?
Yes. And Lucio?
Yeah, totally. I have two things I would like to say to Vivien. I'm
Yes.
not an expert in crystals, but I have an amethyst in the room where I meditate, because I believe that stone has the power of transmutation and turning negative to positive, talking about energy. And so, but I'm not an expert like you in crystals, but I have this connection with this stone, this amethyst inside my meditation room. And another thing is, we're talking about meditation, we're talking about crystals, and I just spoke to you about expanding the divine spark, expanding the light inside of us. And one of the meditation techniques I do, when I'm not quite sure if this technique is in the manifestation book, but is a technique where I go in a path in a very nice place, like surrounded by flowers, by trees, by whatever for me is beautiful nature. And I keep going on this path and towards the top of a mountain. And when I reach the top of the mountain, I look down on the floor and there is a crystal on the floor, a quartzo, a transparent quartzo. And so the technique is to develop the sensory, I mean, it's a sensory experience. So I get inside the stone, inside the quartzo. And so I start feeling how, if it's cold inside, if it's hot, and how is the light coming through the stone to the inside of to the inner of the stone. And then I start an exercise of breathing. And while I'm breathing, the stone starts to expand, and I start to expand together with the crystal. And at the end, the crystal is a big mountain of crystal, full of light, as well as me. So this is an exercise of expansion of the divine spark using the crystal in the meditation.
It's fantastic. I don't know many things about it, but I think it's just fascinating. Pat, what do you think?
Oh, I'm absolutely fascinated. I now have to go and read all these books and do all this research because I've always felt very close to nature. I mean, it's when I'm at my best, you know, when life is at its worst. If I go into my garden, then I instantly feel better. And my garden has lots of rocks and pebbles, so, you know, that helps. But yeah, this is all utterly fascinating stuff. Both of you are non-fiction writers primarily. Does writing about emotionally charged topics ever pose a real challenge? Lucio, your thoughts first.
Certainly, yes. First, because my style is in writing are novels. So for me to write a non-fiction, and Lucia said this, it happened to her too, was a challenge, especially in this book, because I am talking about something that I lived. It's my experience is something that happened to my life. And when I finished writing the book, I asked myself, do I really want to expose myself that way? And then I realized that we all have a purpose in life. And that once I heard that one of my missions was to pass emotions to other people. And so in this case, in this book, it's not just about emotion, but it's also about overcoming some challenges in life. So if from 100 of readers, just one is able to change his life by reading this book, I mean, my goal would have been reached. So that's what I think about it.
Yes. That's wonderful, Lucia, and that's exactly how I feel. 5 years ago, my husband of 26 years just abandoned me with no warning. And obviously it was a hard time, but I got over it. And then last year I was in the middle of writing another book, a historical fiction book. And I woke up at 3 a.m, which is when I'm sure we all have our best inspiration, when it's least convenient, because you're tired, you want to be asleep. And this little voice said to me, you must write a book to help other women through that. And I just didn't want to do it. So I put it off for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then one day I sat down and I thought, maybe I should. If it's just going to help one woman, maybe I should. So I wrote it. I cried all the time I was writing it. I hated writing it. I didn't make it like a big self-help book. I just made it like, I call it a dictionary of distress. So tiny, I purposely made it tiny so it could fit in a handbag, and you just dip in and just read a tiny bit. It was heartbreaking to write because it was like reliving the whole thing. Now I am so happy I did. It was published in March. It's actually my best-selling book, which is ironic. And I get so many letters from women who've said it's helped them. And so that's it. That's enough, you know? And so I understand exactly what you're saying. I didn't realize that I needed to write that book, but obviously I did. And I even had a review on Amazon from a man in America who said, I think all men who date should read this book so that they understand the effects their actions have on the women they're dating. How amazing is that?
Wow.
So, you know, I obviously that was my mission to write that book. So I'm sorry to talk about me, but obviously that was.
And Pat, by writing this book, you helped at least one person. You.
Yes. It didn't feel like I was helping myself at the time, because it's much easier to sweep those painful memories under the carpet and just throw away the Hoover, isn't it? So you don't ever have to deal with them again. So at the time it didn't feel like it. And now when I reread it, it always makes me cry because it's like reliving all those things. But that's great because it's helping other people. So it's a very small sacrifice to have made.
Yeah. But I think when we write, I don't know if you agree with it, but when we write or we journal every day, it's as if we are making a therapy, because sometimes we don't feel comfortable to talk to other people, which is great when we can. But if you don't want, or you cannot talk to other people, if you start writing, even if it's about something sad and something that really makes you feel unhappy, but still I think it causes a feeling of relief.
Yeah. And besides that, Pat, facing our monsters is the best way to get rid of them.
And Vivien,
yes,
now I'm going to ask you the same question. So how do you navigate the emotional aspect of writing nonfiction?
it's a very interesting question, because writing nonfiction is a big discipline. This is a very interesting question to me, because I've just decided, because of participating in this and doing all the little recordings and pieces of writing that you asked us to do for this, Lucia, I realized what I really want, also because I interviewed for my radio show a woman who also talks about manifestation. And she said, you have to first figure out what you truly desire. You cannot manifest what you don't truly desire. So you must clean up your thinking and reach that clarity about what you truly desire. And I thought, I wonder what I truly desire. And so I put the question out there, and I've learned that you don't get the answer immediately. You must put the question out there and then wait and see what comes back to you, and give it time and give it space. So and then I said yes to participating in this this project with you, and started doing all these bits of writing. And I realized that all the books that I've written are essentially teaching books. So 4 of them are textbooks, literally, and then Everyday Magic is a case study that's to help people see the magic in their lives, and to understand that the difficult parts are part of that flow, and everything goes in that waveform, and things can be positive, then negative, then positive again, and we must just learn how to ride those waves, and also experience the intense magic that is in all the pieces of our lives, the good and the what seems to be bad, because the good thing and the bad thing are always going to be the same thing. So I was reflecting on all of this, and of course I can be quite long-winded about all of this, and I am, remember, a teacher, so I'm going to want to make some teaching points probably here and there. But there's a strong discipline to writing teaching books, because it mustn't be any emotional baggage in there. And that was quite interesting with Everyday Magic, because I was writing about my life, and I was writing about some very difficult experiences, and on one of the go-rounds of the editing, I had to take out every thing that was emotional baggage to clean up the manuscript and get the emotion out of there. There is what happened, and then there's what you feel about it, and what you feel is not factual. Our feelings are not facts, and we have to be very, very careful about that. And if we make them facts, then we get stuck. Feelings change like the weather. If we must allow that, we must allow those changes. And so then I wanted a bit more freedom, and I realized my true desire now is to go back to my very first love, which is writing fiction, and to be more creative, and to have more freedom around it. And it's not because of the emotion, it's because of the creativity. And that is, in the end, for me personally, what helps me with my emotions is being creative, because I think that's part of why we're here on Earth, is to travel this journey and to make our contributions. And being creative is definitely one of the things that I have been blessed with, and it's one of my tasks. It's one of the things I'm here. It's one of my purposes in life, is to be creative. And I think that, and I just wrote this in the piece that I was writing for the Relatable Voice magazine, is that there's this very strange paradox where fiction can be more true than reality, because we have the freedom in fiction to divulge information that we do not have the freedom to divulge in life. So, for example, we have a lawyer here. Well, everything's confidential. You can't share that information. You can't actually share all those experiences. You can't reference them. I'm trained in psychology. I can't talk about my clients. We can't share the truth in reality, but we can share the truth via fiction. And that's where I want to go, because I actually want to put some emotion in, and I want to put some creativity in, and I want to write that fiction now, because I want to put all that energy into the beauty of the truth in fiction.
Wonderful. I love this. I love your answer. So, Lucio, you are a man of many talents, such as a pianist, speaker, composer, and celebrant. Yes, now you are doing even more things. I mean, many other things. I think also you can sing, and of course, write. So, do you consider that these talents help you to be a better writer?
Yeah, well, I believe that everyone has a gift in life. The problem is there are some people that takes the whole life and just do not discover what their gifts are. And I'm lucky that I understood that my gift was to pass emotions to people. And writing is the tool that I found that best fits in this goal to pass emotions to other people. I write novels, and writing is a journey for me. And as I said before, I live everything I'm writing. I become best friend with all the characters. To be honest, actually, I miss my characters when I finish the book. This is funny, but it happens. And so, what I have to say is, uh, we all have to find out what our gifts are. It's something that it's very important uh, for happiness. So, what I can tell to the audience is find out what your gift is. Uh, Working with your gift is something fabulous, and go for it. The main thing we need to do regarding what we are here for. So working with our gifts is fantastic. We need to find out what our gifts are and develop it.
Wonderful. To find your mission.
Yeah.
We find our mission, everything gets so much easier. For me, I knew that I had this mission of treating kids since I was young, but the mission can change or develop. Maybe just I want to create a community, and because of this, I find out about it. I created this community, and today I have the pleasure to have all of you here, and this is just fantastic. We need to find our mission, and there is no age. We can always, yeah, we can always find out something that makes us happy and start. Yes, Pat?
Yes, I agree. I agree entirely. As you know, I started this author career just before my 70th birthday. And I just think, oh, why did I wait so long? But it's just timing. You know, timing is right. And now I'm just going super fast to catch up with all the stuff that I've missed. Sadly, this is our last question round. And this one is goals and aspirations. So, Lucio, what's on the horizon for you?
Well, Lucia and I, we have this book ready to be launched, right, Lucia? Yes. The manifestation book, and which I believe it's gonna bring a lot of movement to our lives. And besides that, as Lucia said, there are a lot of things happening in my life. I was just elected to the seat number 24 in the Brazilian Academy of Poetry. And this is remarkable for me because I had a grandfather that came from Portugal. And my grandpa, he didn't had much access to school. So he just studied for 4 or 5 years when he was a kid. Then he came to Brazil. And as an immigrant, he went to work in a farmhouse. And when I was born, when I was a boy, the things that my grandfather was a poet, and he had a fabulous skills, writing skills. And he used to write poems, his poems in piece of papers, and put this piece of papers in his pockets. And I remember when I was a kid, he reading to me his poems in this piece of papers. He passed away 40 years ago, but I know that he's going to be sitting together with me in this seat number 24 in the Brazilian Academy of Poetry. And another thing, I was also elected to my hometown Academy of Literature. So the Metropolitan Academy of Literature, I was elected to the seat number 16. So I'm going to take over in the Brazilian Academy of Poetry in October. I'm going to take over in the Metropolitan Academy of Literature in December. In November, as an academic already, I'm going to do a lecture in a university in my hometown. It's students of tourism, and I'm going to talk about trips that become stories. And I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to do this presentation to them based on one of my novels called Master of Whales, which was inspired in one trip that I made to one of the islands of Azores. So there are a lot of things happening, a lot of things coming, and I'm very excited, anxious, but happy.
Wow.
Really happy.
Congratulations. You deserve everything. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. And I would just like to say, Lucio, how proud your ancestors would be of you. You know, you're living the life that they would have wanted to. And that's wonderful, just wonderful.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vivien, what's next for you?
Well, at first, I just want to say how impressive all of that was. I mean, and Lucia, it's because you just attract multi-talented people towards you because you are multi-talented, and you just go under that star of people who are making their contribution to their communities and to their societies, and they're doing this at a very, very high standard, that they are being receiving awards and accolades and positions. And I agree with Pat, the ancestors will be so proud of you for holding these positions, and will definitely be with you. You know, I may want to send you one of these so that you can feel even more connected to your ancestors. So I want to just share, Neil and I, we also just won an award from the city of Blue Ash for our crystal healing techniques business, which is the website and the textbook and everything. The complete guide to crystal surgery is the textbook, and then we have a website, crystalhealingtechniques.com, where we teach courses and provide opportunities. And we won an award, a business award of all things, from the city of Blue Ash, Best Holistic Health Practitioner 2023, because of our efforts to keep ourselves going through the difficulties of the pandemic, and for coming up with innovative ways of continuing to work and keep our heads above water. So it's just amazing, Lucia, to see who you attract to work with you, and what you're bringing forward. It's such a testimony to who you are and what you're doing. And I can't say how excited I feel to have been part of this, and how much I've enjoyed it. And as to what's next for me, I'm not exactly sure, because I'm kind of still in this current project. And as I say, I think for me on the writing front, I do want to go. I have a manuscript that I began in 2002. As I finished Everyday Magic, I began a manuscript entitled The Adventures of Chakra Woman. And Chakra Woman has superpowers. She has the superpower of being able to learn perfectly. And that manuscript, I want to go back to it and actually and get it written and write it with something that's currently very, very important in terms of what's happening in our lives at this time. And I want to put it into this modern idiom and have it be an allegorical tale that is of great interest for everybody at this time in our human evolution. So that's what I want to do, and we'll see if I get it done or not. But if you ask me what's my next aspiration, that is it. Go back write that work of fiction, because sometimes there is more truth in fiction than in reality. So that's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vivien. I have to say that sounds like a fascinating book. I think it will do very well.
Thank you.
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful. Such a joy to talk to you both. And I'm really sorry to say that that concludes our discussion panel for today at the 2023 RV Book Fair. But I hope we can keep in touch. I would love to keep in touch, know what you're both doing. And thank you so much, Lucia, for inviting me to co-host this with you. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Of course. And I would like to thank our amazing guests for joining us today. Lucio, you are doing amazing things and keep shining your light and bringing, yes, so many.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you. I totally agree with Vivien, and I am gonna say we are here reflecting your energy. So you are thanking for the amazing guests. We are just reflecting your energy. You attract every people that comes to your podcast and to all your projects, and there will always be fantastic people, marvelous people, because we will be always reflecting your energy. You are a special person, Lucia. And thank you, Pat. I was missing you. I'm so happy to hear your voice. I love to hear you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to have Pat being my co-host. Yes. Also, Vivien, who is also always supporting me. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing your insights with us. We will have all of their information available in the Relatable Voice magazine on our website, www.relatable-media.com. So you can find out more about these incredible authors, their books, and also please follow us on wordauthors.org, which is www.wordauthors.org. And stay tuned for our next panel. And again, thank you so much for watching the RV Book Fair, and we'll see you next time.
I just want to say, Lucia, that you see the car is moving, but I'm not driving and in the phone at the same time. I have my wonderful wife here who is driving for me. My angel, and she's driving for me, okay?